I'm Dr. Diana Narwanga, and I work with ECOTRUST as the head of Biodiversity program. The Biodiversity program in ECOTRUST is part of the triple nexus for ECOTRUST, under which we operate in our strategic plan, which is made up of three components: biodiversity conservation, community livelihoods, and climate change mitigation and adaptation. So biodiversity is part of the outcomes of the restoration work that we do at ECOTRUST. So we restore our forests. Our main program is restoration of forest areas, and this part of the program is in the Maximum Falls corridor landscape, which is a landscape between Bugoma and Budongo forests, which are key biodiversity areas. So this program is targeting the restoration of the habitat, of the forest habitat between Bugoma and Budongo, mainly to connect the two forests and make a link, a corridor linkage for the wildlife that move between Bugoma and Budongo. This landscape is composed of over 60 small forests, most of which are degraded, and there are community groups that are mandated, that were given the roles of restoring these forests. Now, ECOTRUST works in the areas where the communities are not working, the areas outside the forest reserves. So these small community managed forest reserves are part of the chain of the forest reserves in the linkage. So our role as ECOTRUST is to connect the two forests, to connect the linkage. So if the communities are working in the community forest reserves, the National Forest Authority is working in the other bigger reserves, then ECOTRUST works in the areas outside the forest reserves to make sure that they are restored and the corridor is well connected. So our main aim is connecting the corridor. So the way we engage the communities in the monitoring of their resources is through a program we call the community-based monitoring program. It's mainly focused on biodiversity, but it monitors everything else related to biodiversity, including their livelihoods, their well-being, and basically the achievement of their visions that they set in their visional journey. So we start by engaging the communities to understand their visions in the visional journey, and then we get the threats that might hinder the progress of their vision, the achievement of their visions, and then we get the indicators that are in their visions based on what they set to do. So if they set to, for example, see at the end of the 10 years vision, they want to see a good forest developed in their community forest. We want to look at the threats that will hinder the development, the restoration of that forest. So we look at the indicators. For example, we look at the number of trees, the species of trees. So those are the indicators we pick for them to monitor, to show their progress, to show where they're moving along the achievement of their visions. So we pick those indicators, and actually they guide us in picking the indicators. So we start with them understanding the visions, and then they pick out the indicators in these visions. And the way we do it is these communities understand their resources more than us. So they first make their resource map. It's called the resource identification map. It's still part of the girls' tools, the girls that I talked about in the beginning. So they draw the resource map, and then we relate the resource map to their vision, and then we pick out the indicators from the resource map, which flows into their visions, and then we see the resource users within the resource map. So all these will guide us on getting what to monitor and how to monitor it. So they get the indicators themselves. For example, they select the trees to monitor. They can't monitor everything. We make this the community-based monitoring program is a very simple program. It's developed and managed and led and owned by the community. So they develop it in such a way that it is very easy for them to do. Yes, they can do it, they understand it, they understand what they are monitoring, and it is useful to them. So they're not going to monitor things that they don't understand, or things that are not going to help them. So they set the indicators based on what they understand. If we set the indicators as trees, they will select the trees that for them they will use and the trees that they understand. So this program should be beneficial to them. They should own it. If they can't understand what's in there, they can't own it. So they'll tell you the trees in their local languages, and somehow we have some people in these communities that can help us translate to English. But most of the group members would understand their local language. So the programs are in their local languages. So we select the indicators in their local languages. We select, this program includes the trees, the birds, the animals, and then the threats. The threats will also include the water resources. So they select all the indicators in their local languages, and then from the indicators, the communities will decide when are they going to monitor. The community we worked with, we dealt with, which was Ongo Community Land Association. They already had the monitoring program. So what we did was to ride on their monitoring program and improve it and add these indicators. So most of the communities will have that, and we don't want to add a lot. So we just ride with what they have and they develop their program. So they already have when to monitor. We just tell them how to monitor, what these other resources, based on clear scientific methods that we have. And then they develop their monitoring program, which they themselves accept to manage, and that's the program. So we set plots every 100 meters. The circular plots are currently, they can be for 10 meters radius or 20 meters radius based on the nature of the forest. So in that transect, the communities will move in a particular direction, which is usually starting from the north, going to the clockwise, and then they count all the trees that are in that circular plot. Now the trees they are counting are the ones they select. They're not counting everybody. They select their species in their local language, and the species that were selected have uses. Some are timber trees, some are herbal trees. So each of the trees they selected is useful to them, and that's the interest that they have in that tree, and that's why they want to plant that tree. Or actually, most of them want to encourage trees because they're easy. So we want to make this program very easy because it's going to be run by the community themselves. Our role as ECOTRUST is to oversee and make sure that they are producing results that make meaning to them and to science, the restoration science. So that's why we have to guide them. And then they will monitor the birds. For the birds and mammals, they know these things in their local language. So they move along the same transect and they are recording everything they see on either side of the transect within like 500 meters, which is basically where their eyes, it's beyond where their eyes can see. So they record everything and everything that they selected. They selected their birds, they know their birds in their local language, but it was easy for us to get the English names because they know these birds very well. They mention a bird, describe it very well, and then I could understand where to look, and then when I opened the book, they could properly tell you with excitement, it is this one. So it was easy to get the English names. So they are monitoring their birds in their local languages, in which I translated to English. So they monitor, mainly they focus on the big birds, which are easy to see. They don't need the binoculars to look for those birds. And they're interested because they have ecotourism as part of their Learn in the Vision Road journey. So they want to know as many birds as they can in their forests for them to be able to have a product that they can sell for ecotourism. So those ones, they will monitor along the transect and they record everything they see. in the forms that were produced. Same as mammals, they record everything that they see along the transect, but also for mammals, they record the signs. So these communities are so clever, they know, they can walk and then they know that, okay, the chimps have just been here, because the area we're working in now is a chimpanzee area. So they know the signs that these chimpanzees have been here 5 hours ago, 2 hours ago, so they can tell all those signs. The monkeys, they will tell you the monkey has eaten this grass from here, it has been here a few minutes, it was there yesterday. So they are recording those signs as well along the transects. They also record the threats. The threats they'll record, for example, the trees cut down along the same transect, the trees that have been cut down, any burning in the area. So they record all the threats they see. They also record, they have the streams in the forests. So they also record whether the water is dirty or clear to show the threats uphill. And then they also record the depth of water. They have walking sticks that they go with in the forest. So those ones are the ones they use to measure the depth of the rivers.